People look at YouTube automation sometimes the wrong way. They think it's get rich quick.
Yeah, you're stealing videos from other creators.
It doesn't work anymore to just do compilations. YouTube's more strict. They want transformative content.
All the videos that go viral now are fresh content. This is something people really want to see, but no one is making content around it. You can make such bad videos around that subject, but people will still watch it because there's such a high demand for it.
You're giving everyone the
Yeah, basically, I just gave it away.
Noah Morris and Caleb Boxx run several YouTube channels, raking in millions of dollars without ever stepping in front of a camera. Their secret? They come up with great video ideas for an underserved niche and then hire freelancers to make the videos for them.
I can get someone for 50, 70 bucks to do this video, and boom, you make thousands of dollars.
So I sat down with them to learn their secrets so that you can do this too.
Some people think you copy their title, you kind of copy their thumbnail, you make it a little bit different, and then you like recreate the video. Is that part of your guys' strategy?
You gotta just press record.
Basically, I have two of the biggest faceless YouTube channel creators. You guys are kind of known for faceless YouTube channels. I think of you guys first when it comes to it. One of my first questions was like, why YouTube? Why faceless channels? You guys have been doing it for a while. I guess Caleb, like why the faceless route?
I think it depends on everyone's different though on goals. So I've met a lot of people, like we're at VidSummit, I've met a lot of people who are actual aspiring face talent. Like they want to show their face on camera. They want to be the talent. They love videos, right? And I think even Noah could say so. We're more business oriented. You know, we're more here to make profit, you know, and not in a bad way, but you know, to make profit at the end of the day is more so. And so we don't care about the fame or the ego aspect of that. And so Faceless is nice also because it's anonymous. You know, you see people like Mr. Beast. I knew him when he only had 800,000 subscribers. He rarely would get stopped even at VidSummit in like 2019. Today, he's not even around. He can't be walking out there because he knows he'll get flocked and it'll become a hazard, honestly, at that point, right? And for him, he seems like he's fine with that. The life, I don't want that life. I've never wanted that life. I don't really care for that level of fame. For me, I just enjoy making anonymous YouTube channels, entertaining people, and then making a profit at the end of the day.
I think also another advantage that people really forget is that when you're a normal creator, it takes a very long time to build interest in your own personal brand, right? Like they always say, like it takes a long time to build up a personal brand and like seconds to break it back down. And the nice part about Faceless channels really is that you don't really try to build interest around yourself, but you go to topics where there is existing interest and you attach yourself to that topic. So you're very flexible and you're very dynamic, and that makes it also a very exciting business because you're constantly facing new challenges and new scenarios. And I think some creators really burn out about the topic they're talking about. So yeah, you're always innovating, always trying new things, and you're very flexible in a lot of ways, yeah.
I think another cool thing with faceless channels is that if you want to try something new, you're not really attached to it. You could start another channel, and you guys have multiple channels, right? I think you said 20, and you're running how many?
I'm running 7 personal.
7 personal channels. So personality channels versus faceless, like pros and cons. Do you think you can grow just as fast with a faceless channel?
As the same rate as a creator can?
Yeah.
Well, I think the market cap for a faceless channel is definitely smaller than a creator because people obviously naturally bond to characters, and you don't really have a character on faceless channels. I do know that there are some faceless channels that emulate having a personality behind a channel, but in general, like people resonate with characters better, so the market cap is a lot higher. Obviously, you have channels like T-Series, but in general, the cap for faceless channels is a bit lower, but still big enough to be really, really large.
Yeah.
I think when people first hear about faceless channels and they see how much you guys make, it like blows their mind and they can't comprehend like how you're making that much money off like these channels. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, like what's realistic maybe for someone starting out to, how long does it take for them to start maybe making money, and like what's the investment actually look like for someone wanting to get into this field?
Basically, I think a lot of people really, really underestimate how long it takes. Like, yeah, you can run like faceless channels with like maybe 1 day a week. If they are already making money, you have the team established, you have the idea and the format established. If that's the case, yeah, you can spend like maybe a day a week to run those faceless channels. But it's faceless channels, so it's still doing YouTube. And YouTube takes a long time to learn because you have to do so many different skills and experiences you need to go through to really understand how the platform works and how a video really takes off. Right? You need to understand, okay, how do I make an engaging video? What does a good thumbnail look like? And that takes repetition and repetition. So I think people really underestimate how difficult it is, but it's a great business model once those channels are running. So I would say to get started, the average length I see, it's around, I think 6 months to a year really for most people. If you really go at it for like a year, you will probably be successful. I think a lot of people quit before they can even get successful. Like they think, oh, it's a get rich quick and I can do this for 3 months and I'll be making $10,000 a month. No, it's like just being a like a normal YouTuber without your face. So it still takes like a year of repetition and then you understand the format and you can repeat it over
And I should also clarify, like during that 1 year, it's not making the same videos and getting 0 views and keep doing it. What it is figuring out sometimes you have to make pivots into different niches or maybe a slight pivot in the topic, because maybe the topic you're making no one actually wants to watch, and maybe there's another topic that people really want to watch in your niche, you know? And so that's kind of what it is. It's just pivoting and making a few adjustments throughout, and it sometimes takes that year before you finally make profit and start making extra money because you had to make those adjustments.
You guys have been doing YouTube for a very long time, so you can like get channels up off the ground super quick, and people out there watching this, like they might have been doing YouTube, but their personal channel's not making as much money. It's like they might be the perfect person to actually start a Faceless channel and see success faster.
Yeah, 100%. I think the guys, actually the biggest guys in the space, and I know, you know, a lot of the new Faceless crime channels, they're ran by actually people who used to run like normal YouTube channels, and they got tired of like talking about finance or whatever they were making videos about, and they blew up their Faceless YouTube channel and they were like, oh, like this really works. So like people who are established creators and have gone through that repetition of failing a video and understanding what a good video makes, yeah, they are usually the people to succeed really, really quickly.
Yeah, you're developing skills. And it's like people look at YouTube automation sometimes the wrong way. They think it's get rich quick. They hear Faceless videos and they see the advertising. Unfortunately, like there's like over 4 years of marketing that was just not the most transparent, I think. And so like Noah and I and a few others are trying to kind of erase that and put the right expectations going into this business model. But yeah, I mean, it's not get rich quick. And so you have to be focused on developing the skills, not going into it solely for money. Focus on the skills, and the skills eventually the outcome of that is the money. That's really what it comes down to.
I want to pull the curtain back on Faceless channels because you said it has a bad rap. What are some misconceptions, Caleb, that you see when people get started, they're disappointed, or like you said, they've been lied to, or like it's different than what they thought?
Yeah, so a long time ago, probably what, 3 years ago, at least is when it started. There's people, even on TikTok, I think it started on TikTok. It started on TikTok. There's random people, you know, there's random people that says, here's how you make money from a multiple of different side hustles. A few of them did a thing where they said you can re-upload just rain noises, like almost compilation videos, right? Or even TikTok compilation videos. They're teaching you to download other people's content, upload it without any edits, and boom, you make thousands of dollars. Now, the truth is, back when I was starting out in 2016, that was real. Back in the day, we started making a lot of money from water bottle flips. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but there was a trend, water bottle flips, where you try to get it to land, right? And that was a huge trend. And YouTube was not as strict about compilation, so you can monetize anything. So we did make a lot of money in that method, but today, YouTube's more strict. They want transformative content. They want it to be a little bit switched up. They want usually a narration on the content. So it doesn't work anymore to just do compilations. You have to be a little bit more creative with your content.
Yeah, and I think what happens a lot as well is, and that's the most common criticism I hear, is like, yeah, you're stealing videos from other creators, or it's not creative content, and that's a real, like that's one of the biggest argument people have for against Faceless channels. And I think they really underestimate how much time and work actually goes into these videos across our team members. Like, especially when you're running documentary channels, I run quite a few of those. We run a channel about court, it's called Court Cases. And like to produce one of those videos, it's like a few days of research to find the clips, find the news articles, find the right contacts, and then that's only the research part. Then there comes a scriptwriter who just looks at all the research, they put it into one comprehensive story, and then it needs to be voiced. That voice, sometimes they make mistakes, so they have to go over and over. And then the editor comes in, and they really have to, you know, make it transformative and make sure, you know, there's a lot of context or educational context added, and that just makes it really transformative and fair use. Yeah, I would challenge some creators to try it yourself. Like, try to recreate the content and see how long it really takes to make it. It's really, some of these channels are really difficult to recreate. So there are some cases where it's super, like TikTok compilations, where it is not creative, and those bad apples are definitely out there. But in general, like what we're talking about when we're talking about Faceless channels is like documentary and video essays and stuff like this, really. Yeah.
So I've heard you say before, like, you know, around $70 to produce a video if you want to just go the automation route. How much does it cost maybe to get a decent video that could take off in the
Yeah,
algorithm?
there's lots of factors. So for example, how tapped is a niche? If a niche's been around for a while, there's a lot of competitors, you're gonna be fighting against those competitors. So typically that means the quality standards for that niche is now a little bit higher. So that means you have to spend a little bit of money. The second thing is how long is a video? If you're doing a 5-7 minute video, $70 is a pretty reasonable budget if you're in a, like I said, not too competitive of a niche. So, and Noah can speak more on this because he created a tool that literally finds niches for you. And so he knows when he sees a niche that's kind of untapped, he knows I can get someone for 50, 70 bucks to do this video. But eventually, and he'll probably mention it, eventually it will get tapped. And at that point, the budget might increase a little bit more.
Yeah, this is a very common pattern where you start in a niche and you can get away with really bad quality content. So when I'm talking about a $70 video, I'm talking about like literally a scriptwriter from Fiverr that's a very basic, like they probably copy paste stuff from Wikipedia, and then a voiceover artist, and that just does it really quickly. It takes them maybe 10 minutes, and then the video editing is just like B-roll or stock footage. In those niches, you can definitely make some money, but you have to be the first mover there, and that first mover advantage goes away very, very quickly. So when we're talking about $70 videos, that's something that is getting into the past now. Like it's getting harder and harder to really compete with the rest on the $70 budget. But if you have that first mover advantage, it's certainly still possible. We're actually doing it right now in a niche. But yeah, you just have to think about $70 is kind of the basis, and it goes up from there. But with the AI tools nowadays, you can get a ChatGPT script that takes you maybe like 20, 30 minutes to generate. Then you can even monetize your videos with an AI voiceover, as long as the video editing and the scripting is really good. So you can then just spend $70 on a video editor, which is certainly possible. If you get a video editor from India or other low-cost countries, you can definitely get a video editor for 70 bucks and actually get decent quality on it if you just do the voiceover and script yourself. Yeah.
Let's say you find a niche that typically you want to find something that you know a little bit about or you're passionate about. For me, it was basketball, right? Basketball, though, there's a lot of competitors and there's people making amazing videos. And so I probably would not have succeeded if I just started with like a $50 video in that niche. Where would you suggest that they spend most of their money? Say they're willing to do a little bit of the work. Maybe they have a little bit of editing skills, or they could maybe write the scripts, but they don't want to. Like, where are you going to see the most bang for your buck? Is it an editor, a thumbnail artist? Curious what you think.
So I think it just depends on your strengths. It's like, I have a lot of business mentors and they taught me that like, you gotta figure, everyone has different strengths and weaknesses. Some people might be good at writing, so that's your strength, write the script. Some people might be good at the narration, people might be good at the editing. You gotta figure out what that strength is that you're willing to double down into, and then you hire and delegate the rest. When I started out, I didn't have a lot of money, obviously, so what I did is I learned the game of everything because I didn't have any money. So I had to learn editing, I had to learn the basics. It wasn't enough to get millions and millions of views, but it was enough to get a little bit of money in the door and proof of concept. Then I found a random friend in high school. I was like, hey man, I'll pay for your laptop, I'll buy your camera or your microphone gear, and you just do it for 30%, and I'll do the video idea and thumbnail. So we were like a partnership. So we did it, which was the best deal ever. And then what ended up happening is he was making all the videos for me for the most part. That ended up giving me $1,000 or so that I then, per month, I was able to now hire a little bit more professional people on like Upwork.com or Fiverr.com. And I started, obviously, because I didn't want to lose all my money. So I had to start small. So I was really good at editing. So I sucked at script writing. I pretty much failed high school. So I was like, I need to get someone to take care of that for me. So I hired a scriptwriter on Upwork for like 20 bucks to do everything for me. And she did a really great job. Sure enough, the retention went up, the views went up because of the quality, and I just, every little step until the entire thing was outsourced was like for me. So, it's just, you got to start with what are you good at?
Do you guys use AI to write scripts now? Is that like, where would you use AI in the process to help maybe save a little bit of money where it's still decent enough? Because like, if you had AI now and you were still in high school, like you could have saved even more money, because I bet it probably would have been maybe even better than what your friend was doing.
Yeah, I could have wrote the script myself probably now with ChatGPT.
Yeah, ChatGPT is totally fine now. The more you move up the ladder, like the scripts are the easiest to replace. Then the voiceover becomes a little bit harder because people still hear it's an AI voiceover, so they're less attached to the channel because they genuinely know there's no real person behind it. And then the video editing is still really tough. Like I would recommend staying away from AI generated videos at all. Like they're still really, really bad.
Yeah, I still have yet to find a tool that's really good for AI generated video. Like there's a lot more work there.
If you had to put at the top of the list, like this is the most important aspect for YouTube when it comes to titles, thumbnails, ideas, editing, script, what's the like number one thing that you would say matters the most? I know that's such a hard question, probably even matters
No,
the
no,
most.
it's an easy one.
What matters the most?
Yeah, so if I can start all the way at the top, the most important thing is that you build your channel. If we're talking about Faceless channels, you build your channel around an area of like really high demand, low supply. That's the formula that has worked for us both for years, and it will always still true, because YouTube is essentially a content market. Each market has supply and demand, and it's just really important that if you're starting a Faceless channel and you have that flexibility to any niche that you want to, essentially. It's really, really easy to just do research, see what channels recently popped up and just started. And that's usually a really good indication of, okay, this is something people really want to see, but no one is making content around. And if you start your channel around that subject, that's the most important factor you can do. Like, you can make such bad videos around that subject, but people will still watch it because there's such a high demand for it and no other supply. But as soon as you start going in the NBA niche or basketball niche, like, you have to compete with hundreds of other channels. And then you can't do that low quality video. Then you can't make those mistakes. You have to do everything perfect. And I think, especially for beginners, that niche is the most important step. And afterwards comes video ideas, packaging, and then the video itself. So it's a reverse when it comes to Faceless channels, really.
What I usually teach clients who don't have a huge budget, because everyone's different. Some people work with me, they have lots of cash. Some people don't have a lot of cash. Most people don't, right? So what I teach with that is sometimes when you don't have a lot of cash, you have to do what he said, which is you need to go into a low supply, high demand niche at the very beginning because it's the cheapest budget for videos, right? Now, is that going to be a long-term niche? Typically, it's not always the most long-term niche. It's not sometimes going to last 3 years. You know, if you want long-term consistent money, you usually have to pivot into more like bigger niches, like, I don't know, basketball, or there's a bunch of them, gaming. There's a lot of other ones. So what I usually do is I take the money from that niche, and now they have a lot more money, you know, 30, 40 grand, let's say, eventually. Now I can take that money and I can play a little bit more risky moves and compete in a little bit more competitive market where the quality standards might be $150 a video, because now I have the money for it, right? And then you start building a real brand, like a real Faceless channel that has a brand and authority and everything. And there's a discussion that we had today, actually, with a guy named Tommy, Top 5 Gaming, who's a very big, I think he has 6 million subscribers, one of the biggest Faceless gaming channels out there. And he even wanted to ask us a question. He was like, why do you guys just not focus on 1 or 2 channels? Why do you do multiple channels, right? We had this good debate about it, and I mean, both sides, I think, had their own points to it. And maybe you want to like touch on that.
Yeah, so there's really 2 different ways to approach this. For me, I really love hopping from niche to niche. So basically, when you're speaking about Faceless channels, you're always thinking in modes. So you have multiple modes, and these are the 3 most prominent ones. You have a quality mode, which is what you are doing on basketball, like go into a niche, produce really high quality content, and then outcompete people based on quality. Then the second one you can do is the first movers advantage. This is what I love. Like, I love going in, searching for those market opportunities and entering in them. Like, I think this would be the easiest one for beginners because you don't have to know how to really make an amazing video. I think making an amazing video is more difficult than finding those opportunities. And then third would be like a knowledge mode. Like, for example, this is a good example. I recently shared one of my police body cam channels on my Twitter as well. And what you can do to create a knowledge mode there is, now it's not a knowledge mode anymore because people know it after this podcast, but essentially what you can do there is you can, like, all the videos that go viral now are fresh content. So what has been happening in that police body cam niche is people have been taking other clips from YouTube and putting that in their compilation on their police body cam or their documentary. And what happens then is people keep reusing the same clips. So audiences click on the video, see the same clip, they click off, and then your video dies out. But what you can do is you can submit FOIA requests, Freedom of Information Acts, to the sheriff offices, and you can pull fresh footage, and that's how you have a gap or a moat on your competitors, essentially. So this is what we call a knowledge mode.
You're giving everyone the information.
Yeah, basically, I just gave it away. Yeah, so it's fine. I'm selling the channels anyway, so because there's so much competition coming in. But yeah, if you wanted to stand out now in that niche, that's what you would be doing. Now it's not a moat anymore, but.
The principle makes sense though, because what you're saying, that makes a lot of, like, for me in the sports realm, like, people have seen the top 10 plays of Steph Curry or whatever, right? And so it's like, you have to find, that's an interesting takeaway for me, is like, people want to see new content. Right. And so whatever niche you're in, it's like, how can you stay on or create or somehow find new things that no one's ever seen before? And obviously that is going to make people want to watch that even more.
Yeah, right. And it's a very interesting angle. For example, yeah, just taking different angle on the same topic could work really well. There's this one YouTuber who recently made a really good video on the JFK assassination. It's called Let Me Know, that channel. Okay. And there's a ton of videos, right, on the JFK assassination, but he did it specifically around, okay, where the suspects around that time and like this specific library on the road that JFK was assassinated in. And he just did it in such a unique perspective that that video did really well. While there are tons of videos on that subject, he did really well because it's a fresh perspective, and that's really what that knowledge or quality mode is about.
The higher you want to go in the space, the bigger you want to go, you have to start figuring out new ways to provide something new to the market. But I think also you got to figure out how to balance what already works. Sometimes people go too far and they try to reinvent everything, but that's also where you go wrong. Even to this day, Mr. Beast, you think, wow, it's the most unique ideas. It is, but some of the stuff that he has, the certain editing style, the certain thing he has, was taken from other creators, and he just combined it all into his own formula. So you just don't do too much of reinventing the wheel. You want to make sure you still have a little bit of what works in the mix.
Yeah, so actually Mr. Beast, that might be an interesting topic to talk about as well. There was a video, Train versus Pit. That video idea has been taken from a Faceless channel niche, which is called BeamNG, and those videos get millions and millions of views, like 60 million views a video. And that's where he took that from, because that came from the BeamNG niche. And he took that idea and just put it on his own channel, because he knew that that has worked in the past, and essentially he just took that and put that on his own channel. And that's what we do as well. We look at, okay, what has worked in the past, and how can we capitalize on it in the present.
If you're looking to get your first 1,000 subscribers or make your first $1,000 on YouTube, then join our free YouTube challenge that many other small creators have joined and seen tons of success. During this free challenge, Sean is going to share some of the best strategies for growing to your first 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, as well as making your first $1,000. Just go to tube1kchallenge.com or check the link down in the description.
So I want tips for someone watching this. They're ready to start their channel and they're like, maybe they already started and they're not getting views. One of the big things I hear you guys talk about is like, find what works. You know, this Mr. Beast example, like he found something that works and he made it his own, made it different, made it better. Yep. Is that still the best thing to do? You're saying don't reinvent the wheel, you know, find some research, find some videos out there that are doing well. Is that kind of like the best advice for someone, is to not reinvent the wheel?
I think it's a balance. Like I said, like for me, at the very beginning, if I'm a beginner, I don't know YouTube. I see too many clients assume that they are better than the YouTubers who's been here for like us for a long time. So like I give them advice. They're like, nah, but I think I should do it my own unique way. It's like, you just look at what's currently working, learn from them. So what I usually do is there's a way you can take other people's scripts, not to use it, but to study it. So if you go to the actual specific video of your competitors, you can there's a way to look at the transcript, like the captions, and you can actually copy all of that, put it in a Google Doc, then you have to reformat it a little bit. Now you can
put it in ChatGPT and it'll reformat it for you.
Either that.
Yeah, that's what I do, yeah.
The thing is, like, what you can do is you can pretty much look at all of the script, and I try to compare it with like 3 other of the scripts. I can see how they hook the viewer in, which is one of the most important parts. How do you make sure people don't just find the next video? You know, within the first 15, 30 seconds, you got to hook them in. So I will literally, me and my team, whenever we're about to walk into a brand new niche, we want to study what are they doing that we can do for ourselves. And if there's like patterns, we're looking for patterns. This is what Mr. Beast always does, is that everybody I know on YouTube who's successful, they find patterns across the board. If there's patterns in the script, we will try to do that and make sure we don't remove that part. If there's an area that isn't across multiple scripts, we're like, okay, maybe this is just extra fluff that they decide to add. Cool, that's optional. So that's how we kind of identify it. The same goes for thumbnails, etc.
This is like that pattern identification, and this is why I love doing, you know, the niche hopping, because I'm really good at identifying those patterns within, okay, what has worked and how can you basically identify what's the core of what makes a video work, and then you think about, okay, how can I add one step onto that? How can I improve that 1%? And that's basically what you're doing. Is if you're really good at that pattern identification, and actually a good tip is also for our normal YouTubers, go to your competitor, copy and paste all their most top performing videos and ask ChatGPT what's a common pattern in the titles, or same thing, you can do it in the transcript, what's a common pattern in the transcript, and come up, based on that pattern, come up with like 30 new titles. And this is how I start in new niches. Like I look at the top performing competitors, I copy their titles, put it in ChatGPT, and then it will give me back all the patterns plus newly generated titles based on those patterns. Yep.
Some people think that all you guys do is you go on YouTube, you find most popular videos, you copy their title, You kind of copy their thumbnail and make it a little bit different, and then you like recreate the video. But that's not really what you guys are doing. And actually, that doesn't really work, right? Like if you were to do that, it kind of goes back to like people have seen that before anyways. Yeah. How much are you looking at niches, competitors in your own niche versus looking a little bit outside of your niche, or maybe at like, and see what other people are doing to move it to your world and be like, that golf video is amazing. I think I can do that kind of in like an NBA realm.
So sometimes I look at the most popular, I do see some videos where I'm like, okay, I could make another version of this, but I have to be careful because some niches, the trend is already dead. I see a lot of people look at a viral video from someone's competitor, let's say, 12 months ago, viral video, 5 million views. Oh man, maybe I should do a similar title and thumbnail and everything, blah, 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 right? Like that's what they're saying on this podcast, right? But what they don't realize is maybe they got that 5 million views because they're talking about some trendy event that was 12 months ago, and now nobody's talking about that trendy event. So you upload the video, got 10 views, right? So you gotta make sure it's relevant to this day. There's a lot of news channels that report the exact same news. Philip DeFranco, so many others will report the exact same news on TikTok, etc. that's happening right now, but they still all get lots of views. So there's a way where you can still talk about similar topics, but then at the same time, we're talking about also you want to be once in a while testing new topics at the same time. So I do a mix of the two.
Right, yeah, I agree. What I often do is I really try to study, okay, what has done well in other niches with a similar format. So essentially you're not copying videos one-on-one, you're copying formats. So this is something I call format transferring, which is you look at formats that do well in one niche and you copy it to a new niche, because usually it works. So a good example would be, let's say documentaries do nearly well in every single niche. So what you can do is you search for a new topic, let's say golf. We'll just go work with golf. There aren't a lot of golf documentaries. Have you seen a lot of the golf documentaries?
Not on my browse feed.
No, exactly, right. So that's what you can do is there are a lot of football documentaries, there are a lot of documentaries on film stars, celebrities, but there aren't a lot of documentaries centered around golf. So what you do is you take that format, and format, I mean the thumbnail, the title, the way a video is structured, you take that and then you place it in a different context. And that's simply what you're doing, and that's what a lot of the top creators do. They just take that format and they put it in their own context. And so it's not really stealing, it's like stealing like an artist, basically.
Do you guys think documentary, those kind of videos, do you think they're doing well because they're really long form content? Is that part of your guys' strategy?
Yeah. I'm a big fan of very long form content. It has been the meta for the last few months, actually. I don't know if you've noticed, but longer videos actually tend to perform better nowadays. And it's pushing towards even longer videos. Why? Because YouTube obviously compares videos of the same length. So 8 minutes videos gets compared to another 8-minute video, and then a 10-minute video gets compared to a 10-minute video, and then a 20-minute video gets compared to a 20-minute video. So what happens if you make let's say a 8-minute video, there's a ton of 8-minute videos, right? Because it's easier to make a short video than a longer video. And as soon as you start moving up that ladder, let's say 20 minutes, there's less 20-minute videos than to compare to. So it's easier to beat that competition in terms of average view percentage, also in terms of CTR. So you're compared to a different set of data that's easier to compete with. So that's why those longer videos are slowly becoming a meta, essentially, yeah.
I still do this to this day, but I usually start smaller actually at the very beginning, but only for the ones who have less of a budget. Like if I'm consulting a client who has less of a budget. For someone who has a lot more of a budget, then like he said, it's usually better if it works for the niche. Some niches aren't longer length, but a lot of them can figure out how to make it work. That's when if we have a bigger budget, because it costs more money the longer the length it is, that's when we can go a little bit longer length on the videos and everything. But for beginners, I usually start with smaller length, like 6, maybe 8 minutes long, just because I know that for beginners who have never done YouTube, they need repetition. So even if they have an 18-minute video, and even if the algorithm slightly performs a little bit more and pushes out a little bit more than a 6-minute video, the odds are it's still gonna be a really bad 18-minute video. And so they're gonna be losing a lot more money, and you can get a little bit more repetition and more data at the very beginning on short length. Then when it gains momentum, then we increase the budget, we increase the length, and then that's when it really starts to exponentially grow, because now you know the game.
Yep, right. But another thing I wanted to add on to everything is, again, length is another way to differentiate yourself from competitors. So it's, again, a moat you're creating when you're making those longer videos, because you're also talking to a different audience. A really good example would be Daily Dose of Internet has like 5-minute videos, right? There are people that put daily dose of internet videos together in like 1 or 2 hour compilations, and people put that on their TVs while they're, you know, doing the dishes or whatever. So that's a totally different audience you're talking to with those longer videos. So you're in a competitive market or in a very saturated market, you would differ yourself with those longer form videos essentially. So that's why they tend to perform better recently.
I want to know, Caleb, what do you think about YouTube Shorts today? Is it worth doing for a Faceless channel to grow faster, make money? Like, when should you use it, not use it? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so every person I talk to who's doing shorts as well on a big level, they don't even know the algorithm of shorts. They're just assuming things. Like with YouTube, I can look at certain videos, I can get a gauge of, okay, this is doing good, this is doing bad. Shorts, sometimes stuff takes off that like you don't understand. Like, you know what I mean? That's just very weird. They just test everything at that point. The second thing is I look at shorts, like again, I look at YouTube first off as, again, profit. Like I'm just trying to earn a little bit more money. That's my goal, right? So I'm not trying to be famous. I think a lot of people get almost instant gratification because shorts are a little bit easier to go viral on. And so they're like, wow, we've met so many people here where they're like, I'm doing 50 million. Actually, there was one guy doing 150 million views, some kid like 19 or something, 150 million views a month on YouTube. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, what's your channel? Like, how much you making off of that? He's like, oh, like 20 grand. Yeah. I'm like, so let me guess, YouTube Shorts. He's like, yeah, YouTube Shorts. It's like, it's a weird world now because when I started out, it was obviously YouTube Shorts wasn't a thing, TikTok wasn't a thing, right? And so obviously when you said views, you knew it was long form. So a lot of these guys though, they've tried to transition. They've tried to do long form and shorts on the same channel. And most of them, some of them get away with it, but most of them are not having success that I run into. And to me, that's bad because the long form pays the most, right? You can make a little bit more money with brand deals, you can make a little bit more money with ad revenue, and the biggest one is I always tell people right now, like actually ask yourself, YouTube Shorts or TikTok, what was the last person or last 3 TikToks you saw? Do you remember the person that you watched, the person's name? No.
All right.
What about YouTube? Like the last 3 videos, can you remember the last 3 videos? One of them.
Yeah, part of it is because I watch a lot of the same creators too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but
right. You're more memorable and you're more likely to be stopped in public more, right? If you have a long form than you do short form.
Another really interesting story I heard about long form versus short form is there was at VidCon, I don't know which year it was, there were 2 creators next to each other. One TikTok creator and then one long form creator that had like 10,000 subscribers, like 100,000 subscribers or something. So the short form creator had 10 million followers on TikTok and then the long form had 100,000. So what happened was they both did promotions on their channel. So he did promotion on his YouTube channel and she did promotions on her TikTok account. And then what ended up happening was no one showed up for that 10 million follower shorts creator, and then everyone showed up for that long form YouTuber, and that's really the difference. And I think a lot of people think in a way like, why not do shorts? Instead of thinking, why do shorts? Because everything is about opportunity cost, essentially. Because if you spend like an hour a day, or I think most people spend more than that, like 2-3 hours a day on shorts, what if you invested those 3 hours in getting a brand deal or getting better long-form videos? You will make exponentially more money from those than, you know, getting that instant gratification from all those short-form views. And that's why, you know, I don't think shorts, from a business perspective, is a good move.
Some people, though, they see shorts as an opportunity to explode their channel, and they're like, once I reach monetization or once I reach a certain level, then I will move over to long form. I have a buddy, though, who has a basketball channel, 100,000 subscribers, but it's all shorts. He's tried doing long form. He can't figure it out. He can't get any views. Right. I don't know. Do you guys see that with people? Like, is that common?
9 out of 10. Like, there are some creators who get it right, like, but that's very rare. It's like 9 out of 10 creators, they think like, oh, I have a really big short channel, so a few million subscribers, and they get 10,000.
Why is that happening?
Because I think people underestimate how different sometimes short form viewers are from long form viewers. Because essentially long form viewers, they have different attention spans to common shorts users. Like common shorts users, they love, like some people love shorts, some people love watching long form. So when you try to convert those shorts users to long form videos, they just don't like watching long form videos. Like they like watching short form videos. And so those are 2 different audiences you're catering to. Even though they like the same subject, they might only enjoy shorter form videos. So there's a big difference there.
I think your team, like Sean Cannell's team, you guys figured it out too. I think I saw a video a while ago that Sean uploaded breaking down the shorts metrics on the Think Media podcast. Yeah. I think it came out, shorts was like younger demographic or something like that, right? And then the longer was a little bit older demographic. What was it?
That sounds right. But I don't think it was a crazy difference. I do think for sure it's a different audience, because like even for me, I'm not on YouTube Shorts. I don't scroll the Shorts feed. Yeah. And when I do, I'm like, I just would rather watch long form. That's just me personally. Now there is, I want to ask you about this, Caleb, because there's this new feature where there's a tag where you can click to link on your short form. You can click that, takes you to the long form video. Do you think like there's hope in that? They're obviously trying to get people from shorts to long form.
I'll say my opinion. First off, I think that hurts retention based on what I tested, but I need more data. It's still new. But my theory on shorts, so I've been in the game of YouTube since like 2016, okay? So I've seen updates where normally YouTube would take sometimes a year on average to roll out a very basic update because YouTube wants to be safe before they roll it out to everybody. So what they do is they start with a pool of people, then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they launch it to everybody. Shorts was one of the fastest things and features I've ever seen release from beta to public. The fastest I've ever seen they've ever done for a feature, which in my opinion is also the biggest features they've ever launched for the platform. And my theory, and I don't freaking know, but my theory, because I know that YouTube's a business at the end of the day, my theory is that TikTok was coming up at the time. TikTok was starting to take market share of YouTube. YouTube got scared, and so obviously investors are gonna be going down YouTube's throat. Hey, we have money in the stock market with Google, YouTube, whatever. You gotta figure out how you can take back market share. How are you gonna compete with TikTok, who's just taking everyone over, right? So now they're like scared. The executives have to figure something out ASAP to like gain market share back. And then they rushed out YouTube Shorts as fast as they could without giving it real data studies. Like we don't even know TikTok yet. We don't even know what's gonna happen to the average human viewer who watches 60-second content. What's gonna happen to the psyche of that type of viewer? We don't know that yet. So I don't know what's gonna happen to the future of content in general because of that.
Another concern I would have is the profitability just for those platforms. I know, for example, Snapchat is losing tons of money on their Snap shows. That's one. And then I'm pretty sure both TikTok and YouTube Shorts are barely profitable or unprofitable. I'm not 100% sure. You should fact check me on this information.
I think they started to roll it away, yeah.
Yeah, so, and that's the thing. There's just no room for ad placement. So how sustainable is Shorts as well? That's another question in the long term. But also another trend that you start seeing is that discoverability is becoming a really big thing, also on long form. So obviously TikTok is moving towards longer content, right? And that has to do also with profitability for that platform. Same thing for YouTube. They see, okay, TikTok is going towards longer content, so how do we compete now? Well, TikTok, you can discover new creators super quickly, right? It serves new creators in a really fast manner. So what YouTube now has to do is they have to make or boost newer channels really quickly, so newer channels or fresher content can thrive on the platform. So what's happening, usually when you start a channel, there's this thing called like a starter boost, that's usually what I call it. Your channel takes off really quickly, and then it plateaus really quickly as well. You'll literally see like an exponential graph, and then it just dies out like this. It looks very similar to a short form graph, actually. You know how in the past, like long form would like gradually go up, and like shorts would shoot up and then die out. That's now happening to long form videos as well, just to boost that discoverability.
For new channels.
Yeah, for new channels, yeah.
Interesting. And so let's talk more about that for a second, because that seems like a huge opportunity for people to jump into this space. Because I feel like I've seen that too, and going back to like Steph on our team, right? Like he's seeing traction on his brand new channel, like started with 0 subscribers and is getting thousands of views. Yeah. If those videos start to die off, like what advice would you give him to continue to like, are you seeing, because it could just be he has a great video, great thumbnail, but how much of it is it just YouTube giving views versus great content?
It's natural actually. This happens quite a lot. Like we have a lot of channels that blow up like 200, 300K on the first video, and then you upload a few more videos and the videos just die out. Like it doesn't work. You have to get through this thoroughfare, like a mode, and then the videos start gradually performing better. So YouTube pushes it really aggressively in the first 2-3 videos, and then the channel dies off, and then you have to consistently keep uploading, and then gradually the views will start coming back. And I think you've experienced
multiple times.
Yeah, multiple times.
I've been starting a lot of new channels, and I keep running into it where it'll spike up. You're like, oh my gosh, we're doing it again, 1 weekend, and then it'll die out. Like, okay, maybe it'll come back. Like, you just gotta give it time and keep pushing through.
All right, so yeah, if you look at the videos right here, the first video got 217K views. Like we saw all these Somali pirate videos doing really well. So we just like, okay, how can we improve the thumbnails a bit? And then we did the same video, and that first one blew up. Like it's super easy to blow up these channels. But then what happens is you see the second video does well, the third video does meh, and then it just starts dying out. You see this pattern, it's probably the same as on his channel as well, where those first 3 videos really explode, and then it dies off. So usually to fix this, it's a very new problem that's been arising, and that's exactly to do with that discoverability, where they push you really hard at the start and then it dies off a bit. So you have to then start tweaking it and try and get it to start up again. And after you've gone through that valley, it will usually start seeing some more consistent growth afterwards. So yeah, that's one of the challenges.
Yeah, let's talk briefly on like avoiding copyright issues, or like I've had a couple show up on mine. I think YouTube just scans your videos, right? So like sometimes automatically it's like, oh, this is owned, and then I dispute it, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm good to go. But yeah, briefly, I think people, obviously, this is not like legal advice, but like you have to
we're gonna need to get Devin Stone in here. Yeah.
But you use fair use, and so I think, and there's videos on it and stuff. But I don't know if you wanted to add any tips for that.
Your video, or the video itself you're creating, has to be way more valuable than that one clip you're inputting in the video. That one clip is just for a small bit of context on a very big picture, essentially. So yeah, you can't use, like, for example, one clip or one video and cut it up and then spread it out throughout the video, because then you're using too much of one source. What you want to do is get multiple sources. You want to make sure that there's interval between commentary and actual clips. And then you want to make sure that you're adding a storyline or educational content to it. That usually really helps with arguing for fair use. Another thing would be very careful where you get the footage from. Usually movies, TV shows, ads, or creative works, you usually call them. Those are very dangerous. Together with sports broadcasts, you might know that yourself.
And by the way, there's some though that do allow it. This is why it's like a game sometimes, because you gotta be testing, like look into. Some of them have like public licensing agreements that you can either buy, or they have a public domain licensing. I know Marvel. I don't know if it still is this way, but back in the day, my Marvel channel, Marvel wanted people to be talking about their footage, to be showing the footage, not to show it as like a full length, but be using it in the background, because they wanted fans to hype up the next movie. Some movies want it to happen, but some don't. So you just gotta be careful on that one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, I've had a few like copyright claims, and it's, if no one's ever experienced this, basically, it's like, hey, copyright claim, you can go into YouTube Studio, dispute it, and basically just explain why it's fair use. That's all I did. And I just explained why it's fair use. Yeah. And it's come back every time for me, like, because I truly am transforming new content. And so if you are doing that, then there's really nothing to worry about.
And what I've done on scale, like what you're gonna have to do on scale, eventually, like that's gonna be a thing where someone's gonna falsely copyright strike you. I'll give you an example, or copyright claim. Aiden Ross, for example, we made a video breaking down like some gang violence that was going on. It was very customized. We found multiple sources of clips. There's nothing copyright about it, right? We transformed, we made amazing commentary about some gang violence. Aiden Ross went live, and then he decided to watch it as a reaction video. I'm okay with that. He did a reaction video, obviously that gave us a little bit more views, but then his team, which there was a whole controversy, his team then copyright claimed, and actually I think they copyright striked my video. So then that way they claimed that his was the original, but he was the reaction to the video that was already published. In that situation, when you're on scale, when you're making lots of money, you need to have a full-time attorney. I have a full-time attorney. We sent them a whole cease and desist. It was a whole thing, and then they immediately removed it because they know they're in actual court, it would be a whole mess. And so you sometimes have to defend yourself. There's people that would try to game the system. It happens all the time, and that's when on scale you need to have an attorney like ready to go.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like if you're scaling up, you're gonna need legal support.
Well, what you guys are doing is super inspiring for me to like see what's possible with YouTube and Faceless channels. And so I look up to what you guys are doing, what you're building. If you were to talk to that person who, you put yourself in the shoes, like you have nothing now and you're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start a YouTube channel. What would you tell Noah? What advice would you give the person just getting started today?
Right, especially if you have a smaller budget, just take it slow. Like the things are opportunities, or YouTube is not going to run away from you. Like Faceless channels or Faceless content will exist, I think, for the next 2-3 years minimum. Like, except if YouTube makes some radical change all of a sudden, we'll be fine. Let's hope.
like YouTube Shorts.
Yeah, right. No, but so let's hope that doesn't happen. But I don't see that happening anytime soon, because then they have to enforce it for all the Faceless channels, and that becomes a real mess. So yeah, what I would do first is just take your due diligence with researching everything. Try and practice video editing, script writing, studying thumbnails. You don't have to spend any money, like nothing. You can just start studying, that's it. Because the studying is what takes the most time. Yeah. And I think the studying period and people then also starting to upload videos, that's where people lose money. If you would study, become like very knowledgeable on YouTube and then start spending money on producing videos, that's how you avoid losing any money, because then you have all that knowledge up front, and the chances that you succeed is like infinitely higher than if you just start straight away without studying first.
Love that. Well, what would you have to say, Caleb?
I mean, we do the same game, so I mean, he's got it locked in.